Hey folks, in our last video, when we gave you the tour of our cabin, one of the commenters had asked us why we chose Maine. Well, today I have to go and get some firewood and move it from our big shed to the little shed next to the cabin. So I figured, why not answer you now? Because I think it's a really good question to ask. You know, why did we choose Maine? There's actually quite a story behind it. Maine was not our first choice. It wasn't our second choice either. We kind of just fell into it. I originally wanted to go to Alaska. Yep, that's right, Alaska. I had the crazy idea of wanting to live like a lumberjack, go out to the woods with an axe and, you know, a bag of food that'll last us a few days. I had this nutty idea of going out there and you know, chopping down all the trees and making our own, you know, cabin and living primitively. But it was just a dream. Jen kept me grounded. She made sure that she knew that she wasn't coming with me if I was going to do that. And honestly, I really don't think I would have wanted to do that either. But, you know, I was watching a lot of the shows and a lot of that YouTube videos on that primitive lifestyle. And it was like, yes, that's what I want to do. We're going to the woods, carving out our own, you know, homestead. We're going to build it all and do it all. And yeah, forget that nonsense. Turned out we actually wanted, you know, we wanted to thrive in this lifestyle. We didn't just want to survive. So we hit the drawing board. And we said, okay, we don't want to do Alaska, we want to do Montana. So we started looking at Montana. And what we found was that Montana was a beautiful state. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful mountains, valleys, waterways, beautiful hunting and fishing. Just what a beautiful state Montana is. So we decided then to go visit it. And we found out that her cousin had a camp, beautiful cabin, right on a brook in the smack dab in the area of Montana that we really wanted to live in. And so we took the kids and we drove to Montana. I cannot stress how beautiful the state of Montana is. We had an absolute blast. We stayed at her cousin's cabin. We went fishing. We went hiking. We went shopping. It was just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful trip. We even rented a pontoon boat and went out on Flathead Lake. If you've never been to Montana, you've got to go there at least once. We were in the Missoula area, and my gosh, it was just gorgeous. Yeah, it was absolutely just, I can't stress enough on how beautiful it was. However, while we were there, we looked at some properties. And we looked at some really good property, we looked at some really bad property. But what we found was that, I mean, we couldn't touch it for 5 to 10 grand an acre. And that was just way out of our price range. Especially given the fact that we either wanted acreage or we wanted to be bumped up next to the BLM, which was the public lands there, or the federal lands, I think, but that we could use for hunting and fishing and things like that. So needless to say, we were pretty unhappy with the trip in terms of being able to find property. It just was out of our reach. We weren't going to be able to pull that off. It's a shame too, because we really, really like that area. By the end of that trip, we felt defeated. I mean, we were in a really bad place in our planning stage, because up until this point, and this was probably 2016, 2017 timeframe, you know, we were bummed, man. We came home and we didn't talk about this whole transition. We didn't talk about planning. We didn't do anything for a couple of months. We were in a bad spot, man. We were in a bad spot. I mean, honestly, it felt like our whole life had come crashing down. Our whole dream was just dead in the water. We didn't know if we were even going to pursue it after that. Then sometime in, I'd say it was probably late 17, early 2018, Jen and I had a conversation, and we realized that we needed to adjust and change how we were looking at our retirement. We sat down and we asked ourselves a single question. What did we need, not want, but what did we need in our retirement property? Now, I don't remember the specifics of how that conversation went, except to say that at the end of that conversation, we had a list, and on that list were all the things that we needed in our property. Not only the property itself, but the area in which we wanted to go. For instance, we had things listed like we wanted to be close to mountains. We wanted to be close to water. We wanted, at least a minimum of 50 acres. We wanted to buy a piece of property that had a building on it, something that we could stay in while we developed our property, or at least developed the cabin that we would eventually live in. Because at this point, we didn't know any of that stuff, like that we were going to be buying 2 Amish cabins, etc. So we wanted to have something on there that we could stay in. We knew we wanted a state or an area that was light on the on building codes. We knew that we wanted a place where we could hunt and fish. We wanted access to public land, and we wanted a cold climate because we do love snow, and we love 4 seasons. We love the transition from season to season, so we knew that we wanted an area with 4 seasons. From that point, we started looking at the U.S. map, and we started doing a lot of research on different locations in the U.S. that made sense to us, that met all of those needs. And to our surprise, because we had never actually been there, we found that the Northeast had just about everything, and more specifically, the state of Maine. It's getting a little cold out here. Yeah, zip up. Now, once we established that Maine was where we wanted to go, now it was just a matter of looking at properties. So I went to landwatch.com, and for the next year plus, we looked at hundreds and hundreds of different properties in the Northeast. We didn't really just focus on Maine. We just looked in the Northeast, and then it happened. One day I went to work, logged into landwatch.com, and this piece of property popped up. I knew as soon as I saw the photos of this property, I knew it in the deepest parts of my bones that this was going to be our forever property. I sent an email to Jen with a link to this listing. And then I don't think I waited more than 30 seconds before I sent her a text. And then I called her. It was probably not more than about a week later. We booked our flights and we found ourselves on our way here to Maine. Well, I think this is going to be the first load. We're going to have to come back and get another load. I think I'm going to probably end up getting 2 loads. Uh-oh. I have my truck's key fob in my jacket, and I bent over and accidentally hit the alarm button on it, and the alarm on the truck just started going off. But I'm too far to turn it off. I don't know why, but so I just had to walk closer and hit the button. Jen's over in the cabin. She's freaking out. Oh, that's funny. You know, it happens. What can you do? I guess not put the key in my pocket is what I can do, but all right, so I'm going to probably do 2 loads here to fill up the small shed. This is one of them. I also need to split some cook wood, but we're going to do that a little bit later, probably after lunch. So, all right, well, let's get this load over to the cabin. We'll get this unloaded, and I'll finish telling you my story. From the time we saw the property to the time that we were actually in Maine, it was probably, I don't know, 7 to 10 days. I mean, it happened really fast. And you know, the crazy thing is, you know, we had never been to Maine. We'd never been to the East Coast for that matter. I mean, I was in Delaware for work years ago, but I mean, other than that, we'd never been here. So we came out, we looked at the property, we fell in love with the property. But before we got to the property, it was a 1.5 mile hike through knee-high snow. And we were about 1,000 feet from the property, and Jen was spent. Between our realtor and me, even though the realtor was busting the trail, I was using his footsteps, and poor Jen, you know, she's a little shorter than I am. She was struggling to keep up with the footprints. You know, so she was having to almost blaze her own trail. But she's a hell of a trooper, and she made it. And we got to the property. It was completely filled with snow because we did come here in January. And I mean, I was in love already. You know, I was ready to make an offer right then and there. But being Jen, being the grounding force in our marriage, in our relationship, you know, she kind of put me in my place, and we came home. We talked about it a little more, and within a week we had put an offer on this place. And that is how we ended up in Maine. You know, since being here in Maine, we have found that the people here are just unbelievably amazing. The landscape, the environment here, I mean, everything about this place has just been beautiful. I mean, it really has. It's a beautiful state. It's got wonderful people in it. It was nothing short of a miracle that we found this property. I mean, it wasn't listed for very long. I'm not sure how I had missed it prior to seeing it, but you know, it is everything that Jen and I wanted in a piece of property. You know, people talk about wanting to go, you know, to southern states, to Homestead, and God bless them. There's no place else I'd rather be than here in Maine. Like I said earlier, we love the 4 seasons. We love the transitions between them. We love winters. We love the snow. We love the challenge, you know, of the cold. And then, you know, we love the summers as well, you know. We don't like the bugs because Maine has some serious bug times, you know, during the spring and summer. But, you know, if you can get through those and get over those and figure out how to, you know, subdue them a little bit, it's not so bad. All right, well, I appreciate you folks sticking around and watching this video. I still have work to do today. I've got to get this shed here filled up with our wood. But if you have any comments, any questions or whatnot, please feel free to leave those in the comment section below. We do answer as many questions as we possibly can get to. And you know, who knows, if you ask a good enough question, maybe we'll just do a whole video on it like we did on this one. This was really fun for me to kind of walk through, you know, how we got here to Maine and how we chose Maine. You know, while we were going through it, it was a really kind of big deal for us, you know, because we had thrown all our eggs in the Montana. And when we got there and we realized that it wasn't going to happen, it hurt. I mean, it hurt us bad. But we bounced back, and I'm glad we did. All right. Well, thanks a lot for sticking around. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell for notifications, and we will see you folks on the next video.